Stop and give me a moment to share my screen. So yes, this is a animation workshop, and then we're going through the art of storyboarding in animation. So the schedule for today, just first half an hour, just going to introduction into the session, and then we'll also be going through some storytelling fundamentals, how to tell your story visually, and then we'll also be going through some advanced techniques, taking your storyboard further, going through like composition and timings, sound and all those kind of stuff. Then we should have like a 15 minutes break later on, and then before we go into like the practical session where you'll be doing a little bit of storyboarding, then we'll have a wrap-up session at the end, then close for today. So yes. So what we'll be learning today is to understand what storyboarding is and why it's vital in animation. Going to be learning some storytelling principles for effective visual narratives. We're going to be exploring traditional and digital storyboarding tools. So inform you of some tools that there is available for storyboarding, and also practice creating your own storyboard scenes, which is like in a practical session. But before we actually go into what storyboarding is, obviously there's a process in animation, as some of you here already know, especially for those of you who are into animation or learning animation through education or self-taught. That's also a pre-production stage, which involve all the planning stages, which is where storyboarding comes in as part of the planning stage of the animation. Also concept art, designing the characters, environments, the props, and everything like that. And then we have production, which is actually animating, and then rigging, modeling, all this kind of thing. Then we have post-production, which is like editing, sound design, VFX, all those kind of things. So storyboarding is one of the first things you would do before you animate anything. Like after the script is written, then it comes to storyboarding, and also animatic, which is like a movement of a storyboard. Storyboard are static images of the how each scene will come to place. So while animatic is kind of like a little bit of movement of those storyboards to kind of get the timings and everything right. But before we come to that, obviously, we'll start off by this: what is storyboarding? So storyboarding is a visual outline of a story or scene before production. So like I said, is storyboarding is visually outlining a story. Once the script is written, you're visually showing how that story will play out before you actually produce it. Because obviously the script is in written form. And if any of you have seen a script before, have written a script before, the script will involve the dialogue and also a little bit of description on the scenes and what is happening, the actions that are happening, as stated in the script. But a storyboard visually outlines that, and telling the animators and the editors how we will play out physically before they actually work on those movements and timings. So you're visually outlining how the story tells us from the written form to the script that you have received. So it also helps map camera angles, timing, and composition. So as seen the example there on screen as well, the time camera angles are mentioned. The timings are mentioned. So you're estimating how long each action should take place. You're also then telling the animators and editors what camera angles they should use, what camera shots should be used for each action. And we'll later talk about camera angles and shots and what they mean, because each shot and camera angles are used for to like tell something, to help tell the story in a particular way. Each shot is used for a particular type of movements and environments and scenes, which come to later on. And like I said, this serves as a bridge between the script and the animation. So the script is written, then as a storyboard artist, you're trying to kind of like translating that script into something visual for the to help the animators actually visualize this written script. So you're kind of in between the script stage and the animation stage, kind of like you got something written from the script, you're visually planning it out from this in the storyboard animatic so that the animators can work on the actual animations, the word which are finalized at the end. So that is what um storyboarding is in a nutshell. Then we go to the next slide, which is the power of planning. So why storytelling matters? Why do we have to storytell storyboard, sorry. Why is storyboard important in the production of animation? And it's important, also important to get it right at the beginning. It's important to start off storyboard at the beginning because it saves time and money in production. So it saves a lot of time trying to figure it out when you get to animation stage. Like when animators have to work on it, it saves a lot of time to having to think of how something should be animated. Well, when it's already visually told in a storyboard. So storyboarding saves a lot of time of having to think of how a character should move, how much time was spent in this. So like a storyboard makes it easier for animators to kind of like know what a character is doing, how much time is needed, what frames is needed for this particular movement, what shots, angles should be used for this particular scene. So storyboard acts as like a visual guidebook for everyone involved, including the animators, sound designers, editors, everyone that will come after especially in the production stage and post-production. It acts as a guide for them to follow. So it's important to get it right at the beginning with the storyboard to plan everything, the movements, the sequence, the frames, the timing, everything before directors and animators come on board to actually work on that production. And also prevents mistakes and rework, having prevents people having to rework on several times on a particular scene or action. So it saves a lot of time, saves a lot of money having to go over things over and over again. So because the storytelling has been made clear from the beginning, so for everybody to work with after then, especially in production. Like I said in the beginning, so also the image on the right is something I generated online from a short animation that I'm also working on as part of Kehillah Studios. So short animation has some timings there. Even though it's not an in-depth storyboard example, but like does some sequence from the storyline of that particular project that we're doing. So yeah, that's the power of planning, the importance of planning from the beginning to storyboard. So like storyboards are kind of like the backbone of every um animation story. It kind of like the guide that will lead every other stage of the animation process. So anyone who wants to get into storyboards, kind of like that is like one of the important roles in this animation production pipeline. And also storyboarding as well is not you don't need to have like artistic perfection as well when it comes to storyboarding. Obviously your art doesn't need to be the best because obviously storyboards includes a lot of rough drawings and rough sketches just to get idea across visually. Like storyboarding includes just visually telling a story without much words. So you don't need to have like good art skills for storyboarding unless you want to be going to like a concept art or illustration where you have to design the character and probably have to look a little bit better. But when it comes to storyboarding, your art doesn't need to be perfect, just rough sketches, just to get an idea. Because we will also see some examples of renowned productions from renowned companies where we see their storyboard and also the final animation. The storyboard doesn't need to be perfect, just rough sketches, like you barely see how the character looks like because you're not even designed the character yet. So just rough sketches, rough ideas, arrows here and there telling the production team with the movements of the characters, where the movement of objects are going, just rough sketches just to get the idea across and visually telling a story without much words. And then when we get to progress to the further stages, we have that idea kind of perfected more. But once you're planning something, it doesn't need to be perfect. Just sketches and just ideas coming across on paper. And yes, these are some examples we'll look at as well. Um, the first one is the animation film by Pixar. I don't know if you can see that, okay?
Papa, everyone Barbarossa pretends to believe in sea monsters.
But I'm not pretending.
Flipped. No.
Ready. Venete al pesto. Mangiamo.
Mm. Oh. Mm. Okay.
Where did you boys say you were from?
They're classmates from Geneva, Luca and Alberto.
What brings you to Porto Rosso?
So yeah, that is one example that shows the comparison of the storyboard at the top here and also the final product final animation at the bottom here. I can see some similarities. Obviously, the pictures in the storyboards are not really as clear as the final animation, but you obviously see the planning there of the movements that are made perfected in the final animation here, and you can also see the framings as well, and motion of the characters that help tell the story and also control the audience attention as well. So you can see, different frames from each of them, the movement, the characters, each visual. Even you can see some of the facial expressions in the storyboard and also the facial expression. Now, also there are some differences in the final product and final animation, but like it's not that much difference as to the storyboard. But storyboard gives an outline and guide to how the final animation should look. And also the timing as well also would match with the original with the storyboard. So the storyboard guided the um final products in regards to timing as well and rhythm, and also the shots as well. Even though it's not exactly the same, like for example, like she's this big guy here looks like he's looking to the left towards her, but he's in the final products he's kind of like the body kind of shifted to the front at the same time sideways looking at her as well. So then they made there be a little differences in the final products, but still following the initial planning in the original storyboard there, so we can help tell the story in a better way and also help tell make storytelling decisions as well. So the composition as well, the camera angles, you can see that camera angle looking downwards as well. Like I said, we'll come to that later when regards to camera shots and angles. So we'll explain what that means as well, different shots and angles in storyboarding and storytelling. So I'll go back to our slides. And there's another example as well, we should just scan through just to show you guys how storytelling, like storyboarding works.
It's gonna be a while. I was afraid of this. Good. Sit down. Oh, my Lord. You gotta wait, son. This is an emergency. What? That ain't cool, Dad. You can always let Harold cut your hair. His chair's wide open. Nah, I can wait. Joe, get your butt in this chair now. Should I even ask you how this happened?
The cat did it.
Stop sounding insane.
I mean, I was distracted getting ready to play with Dorothea Williams tonight.
Dorothea Williams? That's big time, Joe. Congratulations.
Joe ain't getting no gig, Des. You know he missed it close, but no cigar.
This guy. Joe, ignore him. Now let's fix you up. You keeping that cat on your lap?
Is it okay that I do that?
Suit yourself. You're the boss.
I am?
When you're in this chair, yeah, you are.
So, can I have one of those?
Sure, Joe.
Oh, cool. I like being in the chair.
Hey, put your head in the game.
Ah, little chainsaw.
You can settle down. If you keep this. Look, I can deal with some freaky stuff, but if this cat don't chill, we're gonna have to put it outside.
Well, what's it gonna be, kitty?
So yeah, that's another example of Soul from by Pixar. So that's also emphasized again of the difference with the planning in the storyboarding and the execution, the final animation as well. So you can see the rough sketches in that storyboard there to match with the final execution, the animation below. So storyboarding is pretty much a sketch to understand how you want to make the audience feel. So we should get the visual storytelling right from the beginning before we actually tell the story in the actual animation, because the storytelling starts from the storyboard and the script, not just when it comes to actually animating. So there you have it. So you will make all the decisions at that stage and not wait until after production when you're animating that you make all decisions. Decisions are made in the planning before the execution comes in. So move on from there as well. And also in this example as well, there also storyboarding also involves arrows to tell you where the movements of objects, as well as you can see that this is to tell you whether the ball is moving to the left. Obviously, storyboards involves arrows to tell you the movements of objects, of characters, where they're moving. So storyboards like involves a lot of things more than just sketching and just drawing a script. A lot of factors and elements come into play when you are dealing with storyboards, because it's visual storytelling. You're telling a story without words, minimal words, because all the words and dialogue are in the script already. So you shouldn't be including a lot of words in the storyboard. You're just drawing something else and telling a story and drawing the attention of audiences through this storyboard before the animation comes into play. And yes, so we'll go to the next stage as well, which is how to tell your story visually. So these are like the proper elements that come into play that you have to consider when telling your story visually through storyboards. So there's composition and framing, which is like rule of thirds, and visual balance. So you have three lines there that kind of like help you to set and direct the attention of the audience to a particular character or object or whatever you want the audience to direct their attention to. You kind of use like a rule of thirds, three lines there to kind of like direct the attention of your audience to that particular thing. So you're dividing your frames into three. sections. Then you're placing your subject along those lines to create visual balance. So you're directing the attention of your audience to where you want them to pay attention to. So use that skill for that. And then we have camera angles such as higher level, low angle, and high angle. We'll come to that after this slide as well. And then we have character and acting and posing, which demonstrate emotions and body language. So obviously them different poses and actions will help you tell an emotion. So if someone's angry, obviously there's a way you would pose that character to make it look like it's angry, and you can tell that emotion through this body posture. And if someone's sad, obviously you position themselves in a way that you able to tell a story that this person is sad. So like obviously posing and acting, you're positioning the character in certain ways to help you tell that emotion that this character is angry, this character is sad, this character is happy, or this character is fearful. And one animation that tells that properly is forgot the name of the animation, but it's kind of displays different emotions of characters in that particular animation. I will share that as well, but I've forgotten the name of that particular animation for that. And there's also panel layout and composition with directing viewer attention as well, which I mentioned a little bit earlier on, and also integration involving dialogue as well that matches with the visuals. So here we come to camera shots and angles. So yeah, these are different type of camera shots that you will see in animation, and you plan that also very earlier on in the storyboard before the actual animation comes on as well. So in the storyboard, when you're planning out each action and each scene, you would then put them in certain shots. So we have extreme wide shot, which establishes a setting and an environment, and usually comes at the beginning of like a scene or beginning of an animation. It establishes the setting to tell you where the character is, where the scene is taking place, whether it's daytime or evening, whether they're indoors or outdoors. It tells you where this setting is taking place, where the scene is taking place. So you use that extreme wide shot for that. Then we have a wide shot or long shot, which shows is a little bit closer. It shows the character in the environment from like the knee upwards. So it doesn't show the entire character. It may not show the entire character but from the knee upwards, a bit closer than a wide shot. It also show the character or the object in that particular scene. So then we have a medium um shot, which is kind of a closer shot, which is usually takes place when you're having conversations. I even saw in the examples I've shown, medium shots were used when people are having like dialogue conversations. You kind of use that to kind of like see the characters much closer when they're having conversations between themselves. And then we have medium close shot, which shows like the expressions while dialogue may be going on or not. So you can see the expressions of these characters most closely. You can see their movement of their eyes, mouth, nose most closely. You can see the expressions, their facial expressions most closely. And that too tells a story as well. So these different shots are used for different parts of a scene depending on what's going on. So you use it kind of like to see the expressions much closely during a dialogue. And also we have close up, which shows the emotions, the intensity of a scene. Like if a scene is getting more intense, you kind of, or if there's more emotion shown, you kind of like show like more close up of the character's expressions and intensity of their expressions and also their reactions more closely. So you also only use that when it's a scene is more like their reactions taking place, emotions taking place, it's more but becoming more intense. So you use that. And then we have extreme close-ups as well, which creates tension. And also if you want to emphasize on something or focus on more on a particular you know, area of the face or whatever or object. You can use extreme close up. So there are other shots that may come to play, but these are like the main ones. Most like almost every animation we use depending on what they want to the story they want to tell in each scene as well. So then we have camera angles as well. We have eye level camera angle, which is like a neutral. If to make the audience kind of like connects with the character. It gives a kind of like natural feel, neutral feel, where the character is kind of like connecting on an eye level with the character. Then we have a low level and low angle, which makes the character object like look superior, powerful, or intimidating. Like if like a villain is you're showing like a villain in a scene, you kind of like put on a camera angle, to make the villain or superhero look more, appear powerful. And then we have like low level as well, low angle where the kind of like the camera is like showing the object from a high level to show that this character is like, fearful or kind of like beneath you kind of thing, to kind of make the character vulnerable and appear small and weak. So these camera angles, these close-ups help to tell the story in a more unique way, help to advance the story, help the audience connect with the character, and then you just using like one particular angle every time or one particular shot every time. Shots and angles are really important in playing a role in telling the story in a impactful way to help to connect with your audience, to grab the attention of your audience in your animations. So it's important to get the shots right, understand what each shot tells, understand what each angle means, so you can also use them at the right places as well. Because it's one thing to also use them rightly. You can also use them in any part of the animation or each scene. Each scene has to match with the right angles to help tell the story, depending on what shot and angle is used for that particular movement or emotion. And also there's, like I mentioned earlier, about the character acting and posing, like different emotions and body languages. Obviously, the emotions which has a body language for them. As you're happy, obviously, you'll be smiling, having more relaxed posture. For a sad emotion, your body will be more slumped. You'll be frowning. For angry emotion, you're more tense, so have clenched fists. For when you're scared, your eyes I'd be wide open. You have a tense posture. For confused, your eyebrows be furrowed. Your head be tilted. And first, when you're surprised, your eyebrows will be lifted up like that. Your mouth be open. For when you're nervous, you'll be biting your lips, you'll be fidgeting and stuff like that. When you're confident, you also have an open posture, you're upright. Then when you're bored, you'll have apathetic posture. So these different body languages help to tell what emotion the character is. And it has to be kind of realistic. That's why sometimes when we're doing planning out an animation, we also do some acting so that the actions of the character will match the human, movements. Human movements will help you kind of like get the expressions right, get the body movements right. That which is something I've worked on before as well, kind of like the importance of acting as well. That will help influence the movement and the expressions of the character, because obviously the movement of the character has to be human like, even though the animation also involves some exaggeration at times, because that's one of the 12 principles of animation. Sometimes your character movement may be exaggerated, so sometimes obviously the expressions and the emotions will be human like, it has to be real and authentic. That's how we use acting from a human perspective to help influence the actions of our characters, help to get the actions and the movements right, to get the expressions right as well. And also involving dialogue in the in the storyboard as well. So we can, especially when we want to know which scene it's for, it obviously writes like few words to tell that this action is for this scene, so that there's also not any confusion in the production of the animation. So there should be some text that matches with the visuals as well in the storyboards. So this is like examples as well from these are the images I generated for the same film that I'm working on with a couple of people in my team for Kehillah Studios working on the animation project, and this kind of like some examples of images I generated to kind of like help the environment artists and also the animator to know how to position the character in the setting, how to design the setting itself, how the character will be positioned, and they kind of like show the expressions as well through each shot. So the first image here is kind of like the example of an extreme wide shot. That's to show the environment that she's in. As you can see, she's in an office with some bookshelves, with a table, with a lamp, books, with windows, and you can tell that it's daytime as well from looking outside, while inside it's quite dark. That's establishing the setting at the beginning before narration. Dialogue takes place. Then the one beneath that on the left is a medium shot, a little bit close up to her, so you can see her facial expression. You can see how she actually looks like. You can see some other objects much closely. You can see the little bit of outside there to tell you that's daytime as well. Some other images behind her. You can see more things, more detail because the camera angle, the camera shot is much closer to the character there. And then on the right at the top is a extreme close up, so you can see her emotions there. You can see her expressions there. You can see the intensity in her eyes, her eyebrows. You can see her expression much closely, and that also tells a story, which comes up towards the end of the animation. So I didn't want to share too much of that animation because like obviously we're still at the production state of that particular animation. So these are just a few examples that we used for the production of this film to kind of like help help the animator when it's animating, and also the editor when it's putting it together. We can match the final production with this, so you can know which frame should be used, for different parts of the animation. So this helps the editor a lot, and also the animator. So we need to know which shot should be used, how closely you should be looking into the character itself, which angle should be used, and also the one below is also a close up as well, and you can still see the expressions in the face of the character in that. That's an example just to emphasize the camera shots especially, and to also show you how it works in an actual real example. Establishing a shot, establishing a character and the opposite in there, establishing emotions and expressions of the character, and which shot should be used for which like scene and which action. So the key takeaway from that part is storytelling is more than words, it's how your visuals make your audience feel. That is the kind of like what storyboarding is all about. Visual storytelling that's more than words. You should be able to tell a story without even having to put more words in it, or it should be more than just words. You should tell a story, and it is how you take those visuals and transform them in a way that make your audience, connect with the story, connect with the characters. And it goes all about the audience as well. How the audience is made to feel. Even when sometimes you watch animation movies, you also react to some of the things that are going on in the film. Like if a film is intense, it also makes you feel a certain way. So it's how you also make the audience feel through the actions of the characters, through the visuals that you display on screen, and it all starts from the storyboarding. Storyboarding is like the backbone, the fundamental part of the whole animation process where planning is made. All these visuals are planned from the onset, from the beginning, before the animators come on board. So you support it to understand all this element that comes into play when you're creating these storyboards. You need to understand the composition, understand framing, understanding camera shots, camera angles, which all come into play as you're creating this story, making this storytelling visual and impactful to your audience. So yes, then we come to advanced storytelling. So taking your storytelling storyboard further. So we have gone through framing, we've gone through composition, gone through camera shots, camera angles, which kind of like the fundamental elements of creating a storyboard, even including dialogue as well. So we come to also scene pacing and timing, which is also an important part of a storyboard. So it also includes rhythm and duration planning. So in scene pace and timing, you're also planning the timings and the duration of each scene and each action. So you're in some storyboards, obviously you see the timings there, how many seconds it is going to take, how many minutes or so is it going to take, the rhythm as well, the pacing, so that the animation knows how long each scene should take, even though it may not be accurate, just giving an estimation of how long action should take. We should help the animator and editor in also keeping the times as well. And it's also that's where sound or music comes into play as well, the beats and transitions. Like when we are making an animatic, which is like I mentioned, is the movement of the storyboard, where you're including the sound to help with the times as well. That's also important when if there's any dialogue in it, there should be a voice recording of that dialogue, and also music as well. If there's any, you include sample musics, but obviously you'll not have the main music done yet until like during the post production. But you get sample music, sample beats to put in that, so you can help you get the timings right, help you get the rhythms and the durations right as well, which is also important in the making storyboards, because when you just make a storyboard, you just put in an estimation of the how long it should take. So it's not really accurate on how you don't really know whether this scene actually take 7 seconds. So when you plan the storyboard, you can also take it into the animatics, which I saw an example of as well in those Pixar movies. Those are more of animatics that are which are drawn storyboards, static storyboards taken into a little bit of movement as in like a video form, and then adding sample sounds, voice recording on it to get the timings right and the beatings right from the early on in the production, which once again will help the animators and the editors that to be sure this is how long each scene will last, and this is how long each action will take. And there are also storyboard templates as well online, such as Storyboarded, Toon Boom, Storyboard Pro. I think Boards is free. But like you can also get like paper storyboards if you're not someone who draws on you use digital tools like myself. I draw on paper most of the time when I'm doing storyboards because that's just my preference. But people who prefer digital tools, and these are some of them: board, storyboarder, whatever you want, whatever you prefer using yourself, apart from these, but these are just examples of digital tools that you can use for storyboards. There you can also get storyboard templates online and customize them and add your own notes on them. So yeah, this is kind of like more advanced stage where we are looking at getting the rhythms and duration right, and getting beats and also adding transitions as well. So that's part of the notes that you make in the storyboards, adding what transition do you want in this particular scene? How do you want this scene to transition into the next? Whether you want to fade out, fade in, whatever transition you want to use for that particular scene, because also transitions also help tell the story. And obviously not every transition just go into the next straight away. How do you want the this particular scene to move into the next? So that's part of the planning that comes in the storyboard as well. So yeah, doing rough sketches of a scene, yeah, including the what scene it is, taking notes of what dialogue is taking place. You're taking notes of the timings, the rhythms of each action or each movement. You're taking notes of the sound that takes place. The different movements of have different sounds, whether there's a drop of a ball or whatever it is that's happening there. You're taking notes of the sound that's taking place, the music that's playing over this particular scene. You're taking notes of the transition. You're taking notes of the several things that's going on. Also the camera shots as well, the angles, what is going on in this particular scene. So that's what you're planning and processing during the planning stage, during the storyboarding stage. So yes, that is that for that first session. So if you have any questions as well during this time, you can also put them in the chat. But for now, we'll kind of like go on a 15 minutes break or 20 minutes break. But like if you want to ask any questions at this moment as well, you can drop them in the chat, because I've been talking for like 50 minutes or so, almost 50 minutes. So if there's any questions, I'll take them during this time. But like also having a break before coming back and then doing the practical side of things. So where you guys are actually putting the knowledge into test kind of thing, getting to so this is not just me talking throughout the session, but you guys actually getting involved and trying out things, testing your knowledge as well. So yeah, I would accept any questions at the moment, while we also take 15 minutes break. So see you at about 3:05, which would be 4:05 in Nigeria. So
Hello. Hello.
I think we'll resume now.
Hi.
Hi, Sandro.
Okay, just share my screen with you all once again. Okay, so we'll be going into like a practical session, and there's some things that we will go. So there's a couple of practical stuff that we'll be doing, but just to go over again what we have been mentioning before the break. So in storyboarding, the f- the factors to consider, the elements of principles that you should follow in storyboarding, including apart from the visuals that you're planning. What comes to play is camera shots that tells you like what purpose or what's the goal being included in a scene, what's being visible in its scene, what is this scene establishing, and showing you in this particular scene. Wide shots, extreme wide shots, establishing settings, close-ups, establishing emotions and tensions, extreme close-ups, establishing emotions as well, and visual expressions of characters, and angles that are also helping you tell the story as well. And also the timings, how long each action should take place, the pacings, how slow or how fast the story is playing along, the sound as well that is being made in each scene, whether there's footsteps that are being taken in each scene, there's maybe clogging sounds, whatever sounds being made, also what music is used for particular places, fading, transition, sorry, and what else? Many other factors as well that help tell the stories. Also making notes of what's seen this particular um this particular scene is in, what's happening, what dialogue is taking place, and also composition as well, like framing, the rule of thirds, helping the audience to focus on a particular um object or character, getting telling your audience where to focus on and paying their attention on as well. And also other factors that we talked about before the scene, like yeah, character acting and posing as well, and panel layout. So we went through many things, and this is also time to go through the practical session. So for the first task as well is to do like a quick drawing warm up. So in a few minutes you sketch a character discovering something surprising in 60 seconds. So you draw like a character or whatever's or a sequence of a character in few sequence of discovering something in 60 seconds. So you have a few minutes to do that. Whether you use a digital tool or use paper, which one you prefer. But like, whether it's online, digital means or paper, you can use any method to do this task. So it's just to sketch a character discovering something in 60 seconds. So you can draw like a different multiple panels of this character discovering something in something surprising in 60 seconds. So however you want to, interpret that, that's up to you. But that's one task that you can do for the next few minutes before we'll go to the next um task. So if there's any question about that, if you need clarity on that, you can also indicate. But you have few minutes to sketch a character discovering something surprising, and the duration should be 60 seconds. So you can draw sequence several panels like in the form of a storyboard of the character discovering something in 60 seconds. So it also gives you time to also think about how the sequence will unfold before actually sketching it out. And like I said, storyboardings are not supposed to be fancy or perfect drawings. It is sketches. So yeah, so this should be something done quickly. So I'll give you like a few minutes to do that and probably share or not at the end if we can.
How many minutes do we have for the task?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah, because storyboards, like I said, storyboards are not meant to be perfect. That's sketches. So this would be rough, something rough. But like just to get give you an idea, it should be something that a character is discovering in that sequence. Okay, I'll stop you guys there. If you're not done, that's fine. Whatever you can get done is good as well. But also get you guys thinking of what you can come up with in a few minutes as well, and how quick you can sketch a character. Just to emphasize that storyboards are quick. It's supposed to involve sketches, while the production is where you kind of get things right, perfect every movement, every art they are trying to get across. So the storyboard is planning, where it involves a lot of rough ideas, rough sketches. So we'll go to the next task, which is a scene analysis. And I don't know if you can share images in the chat, but if anyone wants to share what they have drawn in the chat, they can. If not, no worries. So we'll go to the next task now, which is scene analysis. So we'll watch a clip. It's if I think a couple of minutes long, but just watch like at least the first minute or so. Then in the three questions you guys should think of while also seeing and watching this storyboard by which is the Toy Story 4 scene by Pixar. So the first question you should think of is, how did the storyboard guide the animation? What stayed consistent and what changed? And how did pacing, angles, and or poses enhance storytelling? So those are the three questions you should be thinking about while watching the storyboard, and also I'll be asking people's opinions after it. So that's why I'm giving you questions ahead to think about while watching it, which I include in the chat as well, because obviously you will not be on screen while we're watching the storyboard. So the three questions are in the chat. Be thinking of those three questions while watching the storyboard. Then we'll get opinions from people, on those three questions.
That's our objective. We have to get that key. The only way inside the cabinet.
You can't be serious. How are we supposed to do that? Okay, you know what? Leave that to us. We know exactly what to do.
Oh, you two come from?
But we're not doing that. Yeah, I agree. Too visible. Good point. Something more subtle. What about winner, winner, chicken dinner? Yes. You're kidding. Really? Okay. You just, all right. Well, what about the old plush rush? There you go.
Where is this going?
Shh, don't interrupt. Not gonna happen. And, okay. Do you want the key or not?
With you.
What is wrong with it? We just gave you three brilliant ideas. It's one thing to say no, it's another thing to offer a reason. How do we get that key?
So yeah. So watching that short clip now, how do you think the storyboard kind of like guide the animation? If anyone wants to share their opinion on it. Anyone wants to share how? Okay. Okay, it gathered a lot of the acting for the characters. Yeah. If we look at each frame, obviously, you see that frame, the acting, and how they actually acted in the final scene, the expressions of it, even though there's some things that didn't look exactly the same. But like the storyboard also guided their actual acting in the final animation. Emmanuel showed his storyboard there. That's actually a good um storyboard. It has less dialogue there, more visuals trying to visually tell the story, what's going on. The story. Okay, Delphine says staging wasn't that much. There wasn't that much the same, but the acting was almost on point. Okay, yes. And if you want to share your image, there should be an icon at the bottom that says file. I don't know if that's how Emmanuel shared his storyboard. If you can also share yours. Yeah, there's this icon that says screenshot. So you can send screenshots. While the file icon only allows you to share like Dropbox, Google Drive, stuff like that. So if you take a screenshot of your storyboard and also share that, that'll be fine. So yes, that was good observations as well. And also what stayed consistent and what changed. Like I saw some changes, some differences in the storyboard and the final animation. Obviously, not everything stayed the same, but the storyboard was a guide, and how the final animation will come out. Like even the positions of these characters, like the big character here was shown to be on the left in the storyboard, and he's in the middle on the actual animation. So they were not even positioned exactly right. I don't know if anyone else observed any other changes. Even in this scene, in the storyboard, it's showing the full character, but in the actual animation below, it's always showing the character from the waist down. Okay, the main character stay consistent while the environment settings change. Yeah. Also in the storyboard, I don't think they showed in some parts they didn't show the environments like that. Like this one, those lines at the back, while some they drew like a rough drawing of the background environment. So did anyone else observe any changes? So this is another film that didn't look exactly the same. So obviously we don't expect the final animation to look exactly like the storyboards. Like again, storyboards are guide that will guide the whole animation process. But like obviously there'll be change in movements, but like majority of it to be still the same. So if people still want to share their storyboards, can still share that, then we will look at it along the way as well. And also the last question, how did pacing, angles, or poses enhance the storytelling? If anyone wants to share their opinion on that question too. So and this is a little in the final animation of this one is a little bit of a low angle here. So There were different angles, different poses that will help express the character's emotions. Even here, you can see this emotion of the character here. Yeah, it enhances the element of surprise they were trying to show. Yeah. So obviously, if you want to tell a story and also engage audiences, obviously there are poses, there are angles, there are pacing as well that would help tell that story as well.
Be brilliant. Hey, where do we get that key?
So
If you
different
read
expression
great
as well.
ideas. It's like it's one thing to say no, it's another thing to offer a reason. Where do we get that key?
So we see different elements of storyboarding in this particular storyboard that helps engage audiences. Like you wouldn't watch that and wouldn't feel engaged in that story, right? So because they have some elements of these pacing angles, poses, these sort of things in their storyboards that help engage audiences and direct their attention to particular scenes, particular actions, particular objects, and particular characters that help audiences engaged in the actions and the suspense that they try to bring, and also the intensity of each scene or action, you know. So even trying to, guess the key at the end that this woman has, you know, you can even discover the mission that they're trying to solve at the end. So yes, thank you guys for answering those questions and also being involved in um the storyboard or the drawing um
Offer a
part of this practical session. So yeah, that's for that. And so the next engagement would be um storyboarding key scenes from a short script. So we have a prompt here. So this is you will give more time for this particular one. So the prompt is a character rushes to catch a bus in the rain, but drops something important just as the bus drives off. So that's the storyline. There's not really a script to it. It's just a prompt just to give you guys a short story that you would develop storyboard panels for, similar to the first engagement that you guys were involved with. So the story is a character rushes to catch a bus in the rain, but drops something important just as the bus drives away. So you guys have to create like 4 to 6 storyboard panels capturing the main beats. And in the panels, apart from the visuals that you draw, you also include the description under each panel, where you include the camera angles or shots and composition. You include the emotions through poses that will be in the visuals. Then you make notes of the sounds for time, the notes for sound or timing, and also pacing if you want to include this. So include as much notes as possible that will help, you know, tell what's going on in that particular scene. So don't just draw this like the first one. You're also making notes of what's going on in the scene, what shots you're using, what angles you're using for each panel, and the composition as well, rule of thirds if you want to use that as well, and visual balance, and also emotion, showing emotions through the poses of the characters, the sound, whether there's any sound that's going on in that particular scene or action, and the timing, how long each actions are taking place, how long each scene is going on for. So you make note of that in the storyboard. So you'll be given about 20 to 30 minutes to do that. So you're not thinking of a story at this point. I've already given you a story. So you're just coming up with 4 to 6 storyboard panels to convey the story, to show the story in visual form. So, yes, like the first time you can use a digital tool that you normally use for illustration or storyboard. You can use paper if you want to, anyhow you want to do this. And then we'll also review it afterwards and also give feedback if possible. So we're sharing whatever we made after the 30 minutes are done. So you can start now and create your mini storyboards. Okay. We'll continue um, with the exercises, and I hope everyone was able to come up with a storyboard for the prompt. And if you want to share what you have created, you can share them, take a screenshot of them, and upload them in the chat. I don't think you can upload like a file unless it's through like a Google Drive or Dropbox. But if you screenshot your screen and share it in the chat, if you can, if you took a if you drew on paper and take a picture, something, and maybe you can share it. If you still can't share it to the chat, you can also share your screen if you want to. It's up to you. I think Olakune sent his own earlier. Probably download it. Let's see. I'll give a couple of minutes. It says I'm restricted from sharing it. Are you sharing it through the chat or yeah? I assume you took a screenshot of it and sent to the chat. Yeah. Uh, I don't know whether you want to share your screen. I'll see it that way. 'Cause I don't know why it doesn't let people like share images unless it's like a file or screenshot. Or if any of you are connected to me on WhatsApp or something, you can even send it to me. And I'll see what I could share it. Yeah, just send it to me if you're having issues uploading it. Trying to see if I can share my screen with some images now. Um, or luckily, I hope you don't mind me sharing yours on screen because I've seen you shared yours on the chat.
No problem. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
If you want me to say the story, I can.
Yes, that would be actually good. So yeah, can everyone see that? Please let me know if you can hear see the screen. Can you all see the screen, please? You can give a thumbs up or reply in the comments. Okay, if Olakule can share what he drew, please.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah. So, for the first one, we were to talk about someone that found something. So I saw this guy that was sad uh, and feeling depressed for some times, and the devil was telling him, "Game over here. This is the devil with two horns," and he was still sad. Then we get to meet the pastor, and the pastor preached to him. Though I didn't show the main character yet, though the main character on this one is the pastor, to show the pastor see the cross on his neck. So then he now invited him to church, and after inviting him to church, he now led him to Christ, and he found a new life. Then I see it to be extra life for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what came to my mind.
Okay,
I
thank you.
found a new life. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And nice how you included also the timings as well, images, also emotions as well to support the images. Yeah, so not just about visuals as well, also describing what's going on for easy understanding of this sequence as well. But we could tell in the visuals a story, but also having to describe also helps as well. Uh, trying to get Delphine's one on screen as well so we can get see hers. But my WhatsApp on my computer is just not responding. Okay, this one is Delphine's. So I don't know if you want to describe yours, Delphine.
Yeah, so this is the one about the bus leaving when the character has been dropped something. So it starts with us seeing that the character is rushing with a whole lot of stuff, saving. She's holding her umbrella like in her arm,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then as she's getting into the bus, the umbrella slips off, right, out of her arm. But she doesn't notice because she's carrying a lot of things. And so when she gets into the the bus. She's trying to, put her stuff together. And
Mm-hmm.
then she realizes that like she can't find her umbrella. Like she's just holding it. And you can see an over the shoulder shot of the umbrella like just sitting on the pavement out there. And then the last panel, you just see the bus driving off and she's just looking at the umbrella like it's gone. That's
Yeah.
the end of my umbrella. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, and that's actually amazing as well. the sketches quite good, even though it's like rough, but still clear, still quite easy to understand what story is going on as well, and also the descriptions. It'll be good to have added some the timings there as well, and the pacing. But like it's good to see the description as well to know what's going on in each scene, and also the camera angles as well. The visuals help tell the story. Yeah, and actually outlines the prompt as well. Um, yeah, actually tells a visually tells a story of what's going on based on the prompts that was given as well. So not how you it was not how you told that in the visuals that you made, and also the description. But like I said, it's good to have like timings there to know how long that scene was. So yes, that was like good interpretation as well. Seeing what you guys could come up with. I don't know how to put down the timing by myself. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier in the session as well, timings may not be something like you'll be sure on how to do. Especially that you wouldn't know roughly how long each scene is or how long each action should take. But usually storyboards should have rough timings. But like people who do animatics as well, that's to give like a clearer idea on how long each action should take. But like said, static images, static storyboards does give you a rough idea how long should this action take roughly. That's the estimate. But yeah, it's nice having to have the visuals down, and the visuals, like I said, you could tell what's going on as well. But since storyboards are rough drawings, timings and other and key things that you should note down helps to understand, what's going on and how long each um frame should take. So yeah. Um so we should have one more person that should do stuff on the chat. Um, Sorry, just give me a minute to get through this last person. Can I share the new one from my tab? Yeah, you can share, keep sharing whatever you have got that you want to share. This is the time to share it anyway. Yeah. So I'll go to Mercy now. We'll share it on the chat. So that's Mercy's storyboard. I don't know if she wants to talk through what she made.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Sorry, oh,
Um,
sorry, let me share it again.
okay.
Okay.
So we start from the top left, establishing a shot just to show where it takes place. And then the I showed the character running after the boss. And then next one is uh since they got tired, I showed that they are catching their breath and then they boarded the bus and then they dropped the item from their bag. Next one is the searching from the bag for the item inside the bus. And then the next shot is um focused on the item that they dropped while the bus is leaving.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I like how you not only drew the visuals in each frame, but also included the shots as well, which established the environment of maybe a bus stop, the bus driving to the bus stop, obviously to get passengers, and also descriptions are there, and also timings. I can see some timings there, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, which should be just a rough idea of how long each frame should take. So yeah, that's actually a good interpretation of the prompt as well. I like how you included like most of the things that should be included in the storyboard to help people understand the visuals, the what's going on in each sequence, which should also help production also in interpreting that visual and sequence to actually producing it into a final animation. So there's good enough information there that will also help production. So it's nice having to see also the visuals being drawn in actual shots that are also noted there in the notes. So yeah, that was good version of a good interpretation of the prompt as well. So thank you very much for sharing those. I don't know whether anyone else has anyone to share. Well, if there's not any, yeah, I think I've permitted you to share now. Okay.
Can you see my screen, guys?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the one that I have here. Um, should put this thing on the alarm, on the alarm. So for this, I have 8 a.m. here, 8 a.m. Yeah. So 8 a.m. for alarm that the guy slept off,
Mm-hmm.
like oversleep, and he was doubting, should I go? Should I not? So then after he went outside to see if the vehicle is still there, but the vehicle now drove off. And the next thing now, he wanted to catch up with the vehicle and he turned on his umbrella. At the verge of turning on the umbrella, he lost his wallet and the phone dropped and he dashed towards the vehicle but couldn't catch up. And he now discovered that he can't find his wallet, he can't find his phone again. That's the last frame here that I know he would be
Mm.
sleeping, but he had known.
I suppose it's
That
crying there
was
as
the
well.
regret. Yes.
Okay.
Not sure that it's crying. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really nice one as well. I like how you use like a close up to show that expression or emotion of crying as well. So that's was nice one as well. And it would be good to if you actually mention the close and the type of shot you use there. But like, I also knew that especially the last frame is a close up to show that expression of emotion or crying. And also the first one could have been like an extreme shot to show that he's in the bedroom sleeping and the lamp takes off. So you'll be able to include what shot is being used for that and the angle as well. And I also like the angle in the third frame as well. Nice how you did that. So yeah, nice interpretation, nice storyline. Some descriptions there to help understand what's going on and the action that's been taking place, also the timings as well. Perfect. So yeah, nice interpretation of the prompts as well as everyone else. Shows that you have some level of idea of storyboarding, and it's nice how you interpreted a prompt and kind of like you made a different story out of them and showed a different version of them through your story. But obviously, not everybody's storyboard was the same, even though the prompt was the same. Yes, so it's nice to see how everyone kind of like took every lesson into practice there and also showing your skill and understanding through the storyboard that you guys did yourself. So it was nice practice and nice seeing everyone's idea and what they could come up with in a few minutes. And storyboards maybe that's fast and that quick because like you're not the one building the story, right? So the story is already written, but you are just visually telling it before it's actually told to properly visually in the production stage. So you are just visualizing what the writer had in mind through the script visually and telling that planning that visually through a storyboard. And from there, you can also take it to animatics where timings can be properly planned out because, like I said, as I said a couple of times, timings may not be accurate in like a static storyboard, but taking that the static storyboard into an animatic, timings can be more, accurate in that sense, so that when animators come on board, the editors, they can be able to um get timings right as well, the pacings and everything. So all this planning, all these notes should be taken well in advance and properly done in the pre-production stage. So we'll save a lot of time, save a lot of stress, save a lot of money as well, and 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 having to redo things and think about things in the production stage, which should be done before animators or editors or directors come in to do anything at all. So we must get everything planned from the storyboard. So it saves us a lot of time when we want to animate and edit animation films. I don't know if you can stop sharing your screen now, luckily, so I can also share my screen. Okay. So yes, just to wrap up on the next step as well. So those are key takeaways from what we have looked at today. So I looked at what storyboarding is, that is planning the animation, which comes after the script is written. You're planning the visuals, planning the actions, planning the movements, planning how long each scene takes. You're pretty much planning everything that's going to be visually seen in the animation production. So you're planning the emotions as well and giving clarity to the story. Because what, like I mentioned even at the start of this workshop, that the script is just the written dialogue and with descriptions on what's taking place in a scene. Everything is written, but also that written piece must be translated visually to have a visual understanding, for visual clarity on what's actually going on in each scene, which may not be able to be seen in a written script. So that's the purpose of storyboarding, to give clarity to the story, give clarity to the sequence of the animation with several notes to give clarity on that, what's happening, what actions are being taken, what angles, what shots, what's how the story should be told, how dialogue is going to be taken, planning everything out. And also visual storytelling is about making people feel something. Like I said, having your audience in mind, making them also feel something about what the story that's going on. This would be through in making intense scenes, being having the audience also, may feel what the character is feeling, be involved in the story or story in the animation, taking your audience on this journey through this animation, making the audience also feel something about what they're watching, through the emotions of the characters, through the intensity of the emotions, telling a story and also directing the attention of your audience to whatever you want them to focus on, whatever you want to focus their attention to. That must be told in the storyboard through the framing, composition, to the angles. Where do you want to direct the audience attention to? So, and then every panel is a decision about perspective, pacing, and purpose. So you're deciding, you know, how fast, how slow each frame is taking place, how fast and slow the story is going to be happening and developing and taking place, the purpose of each action, purpose of each emotion. You're deciding several things that's going on in this animation sequence as a storyboarder, a storyboard artist. You're deciding why this action is taking place this place, what is going on here. You're pretty much making all decisions, as you're planning each panel, and you don't need to be the best artist, like I mentioned. You need to be a clear communicator. So storyboarding is about clearly, communicating the idea of the story, clearly communicating the script in its visual form. So your art does not have to be the best. Like the example I showed here, your art does not have to be the best at the storyboard stage. Like you guys also demonstrated in your own storyboard that you did their rough sketches, thus to get a clear idea of the story that you want to tell. And that's why there's notes to support it as well. So your visuals do not have to be the best art, but have notes that describe what's going on, describing the pace, the what's called the camera shots, camera angles, timings, every information needs to be there to help the animators. So your drawing doesn't have to be the best unless you're doing concept art, where you're designing the characters and the environments, where your drawing has to be like more perfect than the storyboard stage. So you don't need to be the best artist to do storyboard. I even do storyboards on paper, like I mentioned before, and I'm not the best in drawing. So I do storyboards on paper, that's quick drawings, quick sketches, just to get an idea how the character will look like, the sequence, what's happening in each scene. And then when it comes to animation, then everything can be look perfect, like the examples we are also seeing during this session. So yes, and then we have looked at different principles, different elements that we involved, which I've mentioned a couple of times, and which we have also put into practice in our own storyboards. So yes, so I would advise also keep practicing on storyboarding, keep making your storyboards perfect, keep getting better at telling stories visually through your storyboard, making your storyboards clear in the sequence what's happening. Make sure you put as much information in the description, the notes, not just visual stuff as well. even though it should be less of dialogue, but more of notes of what's happening and how the sequence will flow, and also the transitions there as well, how that would flow in between each frames. So yes, and also in next steps as well, we have um one last workshop next week, which is a filmmaking workshop, and that will be on script writing for anyone who wants to develop their skills in script writing. So we'll have a filmmaker who would lead that particular workshop, telling us some important things we need to, keep an eye for when we want to write like good scripts and also tell good stories. And that's one of the critical stages of the filmmaking or animation in our pipeline, the pre-production stage where the story is being developed and finalized, and while um storyboarding also visualize that written story through the script. And like I mentioned, there are also tools that you could explore like boards, storyboarder, Toon Boom that you could use for storyboards. There are also several other ones that I may not even know about that you could use for storyboards. You guys may even use some other ones that to do your digital art or storyboards. There are several ones that may be free, some paid, for you to, get drawing. But if you're like someone that likes to use paper like myself, you can use paper, you know, to practice your storyboards, and does not have to be perfect. Does be a clear communicator through the story that you are trying to tell in a visual form. So yes, we are all storytellers shaping worlds one panel at a time. So yes, that is it for today. I hope you guys learned like thing or two to this session. There might be some things that you guys already known, you know. But like I hope this was a session where you kind of like learned more things that you may not have known before, and also had a medium to also develop your skills and also think outside the box and also create something from a prompt, being creative, thinking on the spot, and also practicing your skills. Yes, so I hope this was useful. I hope you guys also join other workshops that we may have, especially the one for next week. And also we plan to host more workshops and more events from the new year throughout the year, that people may develop their skills and also empower people to tell their stories, especially within the African industry. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. And this recording will also be uploaded on our YouTube channel, so you can rewatch it, and those who miss it or can also rewatch it as well. So thank you guys for joining, and hope to see you guys in another event. Thank you guys very much. Luckily has a hand up coin. Do you have a question or suggestion?
Thank you. Is a question I want to ask. I want to ask, do you advise people to use AI these days?
Sorry?
Do you advise people to use AI?
Um, I use AI myself, so
Oh, no, no.
mm,
What I mean now, for your storyboarding.
yeah, if you see that you don't have the time or like that, so I would advise to use it because I've used it before recently for a storyboard because I didn't have the time to just get at the story myself, and I didn't have anyone to do that for me, so I used AI for that. So I wouldn't stop anyone from using AI. But sometimes you may want to do it yourself, but like AI is there to support as well. But sometimes AI doesn't do it exactly, may not do it exactly the way you want it sometimes. But yeah, it's still something you could use to develop your storyboard for you. But you still have to like put in a prompt in there to like direct it to how you want your storyboard to come out. So, which is an advantage for you doing it yourself sometimes. So yeah.
Thank you. Because that's what I wanted to know. And is an hacked too, the prompt to prompt is a skill too,
Yeah.
sincerely. Yeah, so I was like thinking if there's going to be a session where you can where we can show people how to read the prompts on and the best tool to use for each of the story, the pipeline, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I might consider doing a session on AI because obviously, like I said, AI doesn't give you what you want unless you like prompt, kind of like put in the kind of right information in it to kind of give you what you want. Because even sometimes I don't like what it's giving me, so I have to just like rephrase my information just to get what I want to get out of it, and even sometimes changing my designs and everything. So yes, it's a skill, like you said, to know what to the information you should give to AI to kind of get what you want. So we may organize something like that in the future as well to kind of like how to use AI for things like this, because even though AI is a good tool to use to help you, especially with save time as well, if you don't have the time to, you know, draw out a storyboard yourself. So AI can make it faster for you. But like, yeah, that was a good question as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, if there's not any more questions, I'll call it a day and see you all next time. Okay, Delphine has a question.
I'm sorry, it's a suggestion.
Okay.
Would it be possible to also get drawing demos as well? So like how we had the prompt, right? So like after everybody does this, then we have um you, or if there will be any other artists you'd want to bring on board for it, then they also take us through their process, right? So that it will not always just be the theory, but we see what the practical tool looks like. So we can be inspired
Um,
from that.
yes. So because we didn't have so much time together, we have done uh I would have considered a demo and a proper session for that. So yeah, that's a good suggestion as well that I will consider on board when um organizing another session where we'll get some live demos as well. But like for this one, I didn't have the time for that, so I just had some time for these ones that I had today. But for proper demos, I'll actually have like proper time for that session for that, where we'll kind of do more of live demos and not just having prompts and and feedback as well. So there'll be more prompts, sorry, demos in the next one that we should have. This one just more of an informative session. We'll have more demos coming up afterwards. So yeah, that's a good suggestion as well. Any more contributions or questions? Okay. Thank you guys for joining once more and see you all soon.